Hello and welcome to another episode of Feeding Fatty. This is Roy.
I'm Terry.
So we are the podcast chronicling my journey through wellness or to wellness, trying to get my lose a little weight, eat healthier, exercise more regularly, get my glucose and blood pressures under control without needing medication. So that is our primary mission. Is just we thought it would be good. We know a lot of people struggle with these things, so I wanted to start this podcast just to try to show others what we're doing and see if we can help each other as a community. From time to time, of course, we do have awesome guests, and no different today. Valerie Sinady, she knows what it's like to be on the diet roller coaster and understanding its effects on the body. Valerie decided to develop a program that helps people get off this hamster wheel and step into healthier bodies and minds. Her professional experience as a nurse practitioner, certified personal trainer, and certified weight management specialist gives her the solid foundation she needs to truly make a difference in people's lives. It is this desire to help others that has become the driving force behind her company, ValYou Wellness, and that's ValYou Wellness, and her life-changing approach and services. Valerie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. We certainly do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
So we have to, we'll tell the funny story right off front that, if Terry was reading down through your blogs, and one thing, Terry, I'll let you tell that got us our attention focused on Valerie.
Yes, it said the urination situation, and I was like, okay. Well, I mean, I drink a lot of water, but I don't have so much strength down there anymore, and I have to go to the bathroom all the time, and I didn't know that it was a trainable thing. So.
Yeah. So anyway, once we saw that, and water is, we are both deficient in water, and in the pre-show we were just talking about Valerie and her dedication and commitment to drinking water. So anyway, that was what got us interested, and then just Valerie's credentials. There's a lot of people in this space, but I think that your education, being a nurse practitioner, along with the certified personal trainer and then the certified weight management, I think that just puts you in a little different stratosphere as far as, the background education to be able to help people. So that's why we wanted to reach out, talk to you about some different things. And anyway, just appreciate you taking time out of your day for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so how did you, so tell us a little bit about, I mean, he just talked about your background a little bit, but you were an ER nurse, correct?
Correct. So it's kind of come full circle. I was in the health and fitness industry first.
Okay.
So I've been in, I might be telling a little bit of my age here, but I've been in the health and fitness industry for about 30 years now.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that's where it started.
That's not a wow because of your age.
No,
that's impressive. And you're younger than we are.
You must have been the Doogie Housers of nursing. You started when you were 8 years old.
Yeah. I started, I'd always been involved in athletics. So I was in the health and fitness industry. And there came a point where I started having a lot of people who were being sent in to get fit from their healthcare providers.
Okay.
And I was kind of puzzled, like, well, why are they sending you to us? Don't they know what to do? And that's when I started to realize that actually in a lot of medical training, there really is not a lot of information on nutrition, on health and fitness,
right,
on preventive wellness. And I really was just like, well, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think that you should be able to assist these people. And so I actually kind of switched gears and went back to school and became a nurse and a nurse practitioner, and then married all of these things together because I think that it really would be helpful for people. That was my goal. Yeah. Because most people do have chronic issues. A lot of people have chronic issues. And so I was hoping to marry those two things to be able to truly help people get to their health and fitness goals.
Yeah, and I think it makes such a big difference besides just, a lot of the medical profession, they want to just throw medicine at us instead of actually let's get to the root cause of, why do you have high glucose levels, or why do you have high blood pressure? Why are you overweight? Let's try to fix the underlying fundamentals instead of just, well, we've got some medicine that we can give you. And I kind of, my story's kind of that way. Went, found out that I was, had high glucose, and then I got the medicine. And, after a while, you just think, why am I taking this? Why don't we fix, what's going on the underlying issues there? So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and I think
the prevention part is missing for a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah, and not to really pile onto the medical professional, but it's funny that I had years ago I'd gone to a very specific diabetic class. It was put on by some nurses, and they were talking. It's just like a 2 or 3 week, one Saturday, maybe 6 or 8 sessions. But anyway, that was basically their message, is that unfortunately the doctors don't always have a lot of that in-depth information about those specific things. So instead of helping us with the fundamental problems, basically, we're just treating the symptoms.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely think that there are situations and reasons for people to be on medications.
Right.
And there are times that is necessary. But there are also a lot of lifestyle and behavioral things that can help conditions, that can help minimize, in a lot of cases, how much medication somebody may be on. And so addressing those things is really sometimes the missing piece for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, and I think we talked previously about this, and one of our talking points is, of course, dieting. And I think that, myself, there's people always suggest, well, or used to, you could have the surgery and you could do this, you could do that. But, if we don't change that behavior and the mindset, for me, the biggest issue is just, getting my mind wrapped around, because I've had so many bad habits for so many years that it's hard to just change on a dime. But my concern is always that, I need to be able, whatever changes I'm able to make, I need to be able to live beyond that. So if you eat a box meal, while you're losing weight, when you get to where you want to be and it's time to quit eating out of a box, then where do you go from there? So.
Right. As I say, it's a tough one. People always think about, weight loss surgery. Some people think that, oh, you must be against it. And it's not that I'm against it. It's a tool. You still have to be able to make changes for the sustainable part of it.
Yeah.
And you have to learn those habits. And you're right. A lot of it is mindset, because in the long run of it, dieting doesn't work long term.
Right.
It's a short term solution.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like us, what we try to cut down the processed foods, and
try to eat organic.
While we do look at calories, we try to look at the bigger picture as just, and when you're eating more vegetables and more of the foods that seem to be better for you, it's like that whole calorie worry goes away, because you're getting a lot of good stuff. And the other thing is I think the other thing that concerns me that we weren't that up on dieting is when you diet, change, and do something that's pretty extreme, it's all these micronutrients that our body needs for different functions that you miss out on. And so, again, I know we're talking about a lot of things here at once, but that's why I like we got the one of the apps so that we can be very cognizant that we are getting these micronutrients and we're not losing out. And the nice thing about the little app we use is if you are deficient in one, you can just hover over it, and it'll actually tell you the foods to go to, which all typically tend to be green: spinach, kale, lettuce.
Any veggies. I got to slide them
Usually,
in.
yes.
I haven't rolled over one yet, and it says go down to Brahms and get a double dip ice cream cone or anything like that.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't seem to be in there.
Yeah, so I think that kind of talking about the dieting doesn't work. I think not only do we have to come off of that diet eventually, but we could be doing a lot of damage to our bodies in the process.
That's absolutely true. A lot of people, it might seem a little bit contradictory to say, but there are a lot of people who are overweight but undernourished.
Exactly.
And they just don't have the appropriate nutrients. And the difficulty with that is, your body's always trying to keep you alive and trying to get you to do the right things physiologically.
Right.
So when you're not getting the right nutrients, you are going to be hungry. Your body wants you to get them in, and kind of is going to prompt you to hopefully eat the right things.
Yeah.
So it's trying to get the right foods in that really helps you manage your weight and manage your hunger.
Yeah, the other thing, and I'm going to let Terry talk about this more. She read one of the articles that you had that it's huge for me because as we started this journey, or as I started it, I've become much more aware of myself, my feelings, not those feelings, but just whenever I feel
okay, this is a whole new show.
Yeah. Just like when I feel hungry or tired. And so one thing I have noticed is that being tired, not getting enough sleep is a huge trigger for me. And so years ago, I got into a bad habit of, like at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, to be like, want to go get something to eat, snack, and then, go to bed with a full stomach, that full satisfied feeling. But also it's like you crave that or I do, for the energy, because I'm like, I'm fixing to fall out if I don't have something, and it's tired or it's the water. But anyway, Terry, I'll let you talk about that article you're reading.
Well, I mean, Valerie needs to talk about it, but it was your most recent blog post, the XYZs of weight loss, and how important sleep is, and the two hormones, the starvation hormone versus, I've read it all. Can you explain a little bit about that? You'll be much better than I am.
Well, this is the thing, your body does a lot of things when you're asleep. Your body's always trying to keep you alive. So, at night is the time when you're not doing all these things. So it can now take time away from digestion and slows your breathing down, so it doesn't need to use the energy for that, and it can rebuild. But there are also these circadian rhythms, right? So we have certain hormones that come out at certain times of the day, and there's, you say, the hunger hormone and the satiety hormone. And when you don't get enough sleep, your hunger hormone gets higher, and your ability to feel full goes down. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to have cravings. And a lot of times those cravings are for high energy things, which translates to high sugar, high fat things, because your body's just like, give me energy now. I'm missing something.
Right.
And the reality of it is what you're actually missing is sleep.
There's the answer,
it's
Roy.
very important. And we're in a society where sleep is something we don't do a lot of.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's just,
too many things to do. I mean, there's so much going on. You have to multitask and do all these things.
Exactly.
And it seems to be the one thing that gets pushed out. And I think we could probably relate that a little bit to water as well, that we were talking about, because you do read a lot that, well, we need water for our body, but also that sometimes it can mask, being dehydrated or thirsty can mask itself as hunger. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And there's a couple of different theories about why that actually happens. There's still kind of research trying to flesh it out on whether it's because, in part, those signals come from the same part of the brain, and is there some crossover where your body can't tell if it's actually thirsty or hungry, and we tend to eat because we are not hydrated and we're not in the habit of drinking water. And so our first instinct is usually to go to food as opposed to trying to drink some water. And sometimes you'll see when you drink your water and then you're like, oh, okay, I wasn't so hungry after all. I feel just fine.
Right.
And it really was dehydration. It was really a call for water or for hydration as opposed to a call for food that your body was giving you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing that you had mentioned is, excuse me, taking the loss out of weight loss.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Weight loss tends to come because of the dieting industry, and it is an industry, right? It's an industry. So it
Right.
is made to make money, as most industries are,
Right.
which in order to make money, you have to have repeat customers,
Right.
right? So it is the dieting industry tells us to restrict food and restrict and restrict and restrict. And so when you're coming from a place of restriction, you feel very limited. You start to then think about what you're missing. I mean, if I tell you you can't have a cupcake, what do you think about?
Yeah.
Cupcake.
Yeah.
Cupcake. I mean, that's really what you start to zone in on.
Right.
So I say take the loss out of it. Instead of thinking about what you can't have, think about all the things we can have. Let's
Right.
focus on that and really narrow in on those, because I don't believe that there are any foods that are off limits or bad foods. You can have everything that you want. It's a question of when you have it, how you have it, to what degree. Excess of anything is not good for you.
Yeah.
But some is good. You know, you can have 80% good, and that 20% is so that you can have fun and maintain your sense of control and not feel deprived.
Yeah.
Because deprivation is going to lead you to cravings and binging and all of that.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point about the time of day that we eat certain things is important as well. I guess and I'll let you speak to this, but maybe if you need the carbs, eat them earlier in the day and try to start tapering them off the closer you get to evening, things like that.
Sure, absolutely. Carbs are necessary.
Yes.
They are necessary. Fat is necessary. Protein is necessary. There is no macronutrient that your body does not need.
Right.
So you need all of it. But there is a question of how you're getting it in, what the quality of the food is, and yes, also when you're having it.
Yeah.
If you're having something that is high carb, which is quick, fast energy, if you're going to work out and have a heavy workout, that's a great day to have plenty of carbs that day, because
Right.
you're going to need it. And it's going to help you have an even better workout if you're energetic. Trying to work out when you're food deprived or carbohydrate deprived means the quality is not going to be very good
Right.
in terms of your physical activity either.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So a
And
lot
then,
of it is timing.
yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was going to say, you go and work out, and then it's like, oh, I'm so hungry. You're much hungrier after that, seems like always.
Yeah, and it's just that, trying to keep that balance. I used to have a note over my desk. I need to get that. I need to resurface it. But, it was drink your water. It was,
Breathe.
exercise, even just taking those short breaks and getting out and walking. Not only is it good for your body, but also clears your head. So you can, I become, I think much better after I go for a little 15-minute walk and just clear everything out and able to reset, but also, getting the sleep and the breathing. Another thing that I have noticed is, number one, I'm a very shallow breather, but whenever I get really involved in something or intense or focused, I tend to, probably hold my breath a lot more.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we need to think about that we need to do all in conjunction before we get to the point of saying we need to be restrictive on, all this on our intake. Like you said, as long as we manage that, we could probably have just about everything that's out there.
Yeah.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I just wanted to bring out a point that you said, Roy, about like going for a little walk,
Yeah.
which is great. And I like to emphasize to people that in terms of activity, your activity doesn't have to be all at once.
Right.
You don't have to do a 30-minute or 60-minute workout every time. If you do 3 10-minute walks, research has proven that it is still helpful, even if you're doing it in blocks, because it adds up. You don't necessarily have to have huge blocks of time to kind of improve your health and improve your habits.
Right. Yeah, and I think for me, having that little walk after a meal seems to help me manage my glucose a lot better. When I'm watching what I eat, and just getting that little exercise seems to burn some of that excess off for me.
Yeah, Valerie, can you tell us more about your company, ValYou Wellness?
I'm sorry, I lost.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you tell us more about ValYou Wellness and what is all involved in your company?
Sure. It is ValYou, YOU Wellness, because that is very much my approach. It's a customized approach. Everybody's individual needs are different, from their history, from what they're doing, what they have done, what has worked for them, what has not, as well as what their goals may be now. Not everybody's goal is necessarily to lean out and, be a figure competitive lean or something like that. Some people, it's just, okay, I want to get better control of my nutrition. I want to have a better relationship with food, and I want to know how to do that. I need to get more hydration. I want to be a healthier eater. So there's a lot of different goals that people may have. And it's in discussion with my clients and kind of discovering what they're looking for, what their needs are, and figuring out a plan that is going to get them to their goal. Sometimes people need more help depending on what they need. Some people will have longer times because they have bigger goals or more extensive goals that they need to reach. But cookie cutter programs just don't work because everybody is different and everybody's metabolism is different. Your lifestyle is different. So what I try to work with my clients is to try to make your lifestyle a healthier lifestyle as opposed to living a healthy lifestyle, whatever that may mean as far as society is concerned. If you'd like to watch football every week on Sunday and you do certain things, then we need to work a program that's going to fit that in, because it's about quality of life ultimately. It's not just about a number on the scale.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and if we try to push, again, not only with limiting our intake or what we eat, but also if we try to overdo, it can just lead to burnout. And I know I've done that because, I tend to try to spend too much time in the, I get in there, you get all excited and want to do all of this stuff. And then, 2 or 3 hours go by. And then at some point it's like, oh, I just can't spend 2 or 3 hours. So, trying to get a plan designed for around your schedule where you can keep up with it and it doesn't just wear you down, obviously will make things much more sustainable going forward.
Right, exactly. Because that's what happens with the yo-yo dieting and the roller coaster. Because in the short term, a lot of people do get results on diets in the short term. But then life happens, and how do you adjust what you were doing to how your life actually is? And that's when everything starts to kind of go awry, and it's like starting over again. And so you just try to work from a place of where my clients are and try to fit things in that are sustainable and flexible, because things change.
Yeah.
Life changes.
Yeah, aging too. I mean, the older you get, the more important the nutrition is. I mean, because you want to hang around and you want to have a good quality of life, so you need to make sure that you. What are you laughing at?
Oh, I was just laughing because you must have been reading my mind, because I was just thinking about the same thing there too. I was like, no, I was just thinking about from the exercise and the strength of our bodies. I think you get to a certain point in life that you start thinking about the aging, and you see people that age not so well. And so again, for me, part of my motivation is like, I don't want to be a burden on somebody in the aging process. I want to be able to be strong, and so part of that means being healthy and making sure that we not only eat the right things at the right weight, taking care of ourselves nutritionally, but also having a stronger body. I think we one thing I've talked about before is you can withstand some trauma if your body is stronger, I guess. And I take like a football player. Those guys get hit and knocked down and thrown down all the time. They pop right up and they keep moving. They may be a little sore tomorrow, but if you were to take a normal person like me that's out of shape, if I was to take one of those hits, it'd be over for me. So, I think I kind of look at it that way going through the aging process. Is the stronger and the healthier we can be, we probably give ourselves a better chance of aging well too.
Absolutely. The goals that most people have across the continuum of life changes. Right. So, when you're in your 20s, when clients are in their 20s, maybe 30s, they may have very physical, appearance-oriented goals.
Right.
As you get older, those things change. I'm even more concerned now about mobility and flexibility and longevity and being able to go on vacation and do walking tours as opposed to, not ending up in a wheelchair. I mean, those are totally different goals. And that's why the approach that I have has to be so customized.
Right.
Because people are at different stages in life. People have different concerns. People have different goals. But it does ultimately, it's about having the best quality of life wherever you are in that span.
Yeah.
Because people are not afraid of getting old per se. I think people are afraid of getting older and not having a good quality of life at that age.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't stop the aging. We can't stop ourselves from aging. I think we can just set ourselves up to age better. We don't want to outlive our health. We don't want to outlive our usefulness, but we don't want to outlive that health component either, because it can be such a terrible place to be. One thing that you brought up that I have definitely noticed a lot more in the last few years is that flexibility and stretching. So, I guess stretching also plays a major part in the health of our body, and should be a big a component as much as our cardio and walking and weightlifting as well.
Sure. It's often neglected by many people, even people who are very physically active, often kind of neglect the flexibility part. But it is important because you can be very physically fit, and as you start to age, you're still physically fit, but you can't bend over and tie your own shoes.
Exactly.
So that there's a quality of life piece that, is involved with flexibility and mobility, being able to get upstairs comfortably, lowering your risk of falls.
Yeah.
All of that is important as we age.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny you say that. We were a couple weekends ago. We were out running around, and I had to tie my shoe in an awkward position, and I really strained my back. I kind of pulled a muscle in my, and we were laughing like, oh my gosh, I threw my back out tying my shoe. But I think that all comes back to the flexibility, and I have to say I don't do that enough and need to pay a lot more attention. I'm sure there a lot of great techniques that people can learn to do this in their house, and probably just do it in a few minutes every day.
Lots of virtual classes,
Sure,
especially
absolutely.
now.
And it is something that you can improve on. Regardless of where you are, you can always improve on your flexibility bit by bit. So it is something that doesn't take a lot of time, but can have a huge payoff in terms of quality of life.
Yeah. Another thing I'm kind of excited about this, but I got me recently I got me a TRX band and just put it here in the house. Now I didn't have the height to put it up, I didn't have the height to put it like that, like I wanted, but I was able to tie it off to a beam, and it's good for me. It doesn't replace me going to the gym and working out, but what I do is during the day is it makes me stop for a few minutes and go over there and not only just not be sitting at the desk in front of a computer, but, I just do a few little arm presses or exercises or pull-ups, a few different little routines on it, that it's really been beneficial. And I feel like it's helped me a lot because, again, talking about like a little bit like we did earlier, I tend to sit in my chair and get intense on what I'm doing, either if it's the podcasting or my, regular job. And, hours and hours go by before we get up or before I get up and move. And,
Right.
sometimes Terry comes over and gives
Right.
me a little tap on the shoulder, like, okay, it's time to just
Time to stop.
get up for a
It's
minute.
10 o'clock at night.
But, it's a serious thing because the new messaging is that sitting is the new smoking. And so I think giving ourselves a reason to,
Correct.
set an alarm to stand up. It's not only about our body, but another thing, it's about our eyes that, I think there's a 20-20 rule that every 20 minutes you should take 20 seconds and focus 20 feet away or something like that. But, we need to give ourselves
Right.
a good reason to just get up every hour or so during the day and not just sit here and be zombies to our computer screens.
It's easy to fall down that rabbit hole. I think we all, especially now. I mean, we spend so much time in front of the screen. It's during the pandemic. Don't have the opportunity to go places. But yes, the TRX is awesome. The goal is always to try to move more and sit less.
Yeah.
But what I love about the TRX, actually, one of the things I like the most is the balance perspective. Because of the way you use it, you do use your core muscles. It does integrate a lot of balance work. So good job, Roy. That's a great piece of equipment to have in
Well,
there.
yeah, thanks.
Good job.
Yeah, and, for people that don't understand it, you use your own body weight, and you can probably explain it much better than me, but use your own body weight, and you can, just like doing the pull-ups, you can adjust the angle of your body in order to increase or decrease resistance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a set of pulleys, essentially, and you can do all kinds of different exercises on it. And basically, as you angle your body, you get more or less leverage, and you're using your body weight.
Yeah.
You're using your body weight.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you could tie it up to the ceiling higher, if you can get, the right anchor to get that set up, you can actually do a lot with your legs. I've seen guys put their feet in there and do push-ups or, turn around and do some kind of a setup in it. So anyway, I don't think it replaces, for me, it doesn't replace the gym and needing to get out and do some more, more weight-focused lifting like that or the cardio part. But it is a good little tool to have to make yourself get up.
And I have not tried it yet. I'm a little afraid that I'm just going to go, I just need to do it, rip the Band-Aid off and go.
Just rip it off, Terry. You can do it. Once you do it, it's also kind of fun, just the flow of it. There's a piece of mindfulness, I think, that comes into using it too.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Kind of meditative aspect.
Oh, yeah. And mindfulness, everybody can use a little more of that.
Yeah.
A lot more of that.
True. True.
Well, Valerie, we want to thank you so much, for being a part of our program. And before we get away, I want to ask you a couple things. Number one, so what is a tool or a habit or a ritual that you use in your daily life? Could be professional, personal, just something you do that adds a lot of value.
Now, Roy, you know what I'm going to say.
I didn't want to
tell you it's water.
I didn't want to give it away.
I carry my 32-ounce bottle of water wherever I go so I can keep myself hydrated. It's one of the simplest and most impactful habits that you can have. And you notice the difference. I mean, when you're hydrated, you'll definitely notice the difference. I always recommend to people, that's one thing that you can do for your health that is easy, and you just have it with you all the time, and you will feel so much better for it.
Yeah, and the other part for me is substituting it for the carbonated drinks, because even though I don't drink the the sugar water, still the carbonated drinks, I've begun to read a lot more about the negative effects of that and the artificial sweeteners. So trying to replace some of those with water. And I will ask you for any tips or tricks that you have, because I'm just not a water guy. I don't like water. It's hard. I've got a bottle here that's probably been sitting on my desk for about 2 or 3 days, and you know,
Terry, what are we gonna do with that?
I try. I'm telling you.
We're gonna work on it.
Other than just opening his mouth and pouring it down his throat, I mean, my goodness, I'll have to get a hose.
Yeah. Are there any tips or tricks? You know, every now and then I buy the packets that I can put in
the
there.
Little crystal lights.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's doing more harm than good. But anyway, what are some tips that we can do?
This is what I'll say.
Okay.
I mean, progress, not perfection.
Okay.
Right. So if you are drinking, more water and less carbonated beverages, so you're going in the right direction, right? So then you start from there and you gradually do one better.
Yeah.
So those packets, they're not necessarily all bad. There are some, I do suggest that you go for ones that are more the just dehydrated fruit, that don't have the added sugars, that don't have the added artificial sweeteners.
Okay.
And it's basically literally like dehydrated fruit. So you can just add some citrus flavor to it. Another thing I do, herbal teas, do some herbal tea, put it in a pitcher, put it in the refrigerator. If possible, put it in the refrigerator and keep it at eye level. If you have sodas and things that you have once in a while, put them down at the bottom so that when you open your fridge, you're going to be more tempted to get something that's right in front of you, as opposed to if it's down there. You really have to think about, like, do I really want this that's down on the bottom shelf?
That's right.
Just simple things to some of it, sometimes, honestly, it's a little bit of just the mind trick. Of having something more accessible to you, you're going to be more likely to do it. It makes it easier for you to make a healthier choice.
Y'all must be colluding, because I went in there the other day to look for a Coke, and they are down on the bottom at the very back where you have to move everything.
I loaded up.
But there was a bottle of water that was sitting right there on the top shelf, easy for me to reach in and grab. So,
how about seltzer? Have you tried seltzer?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it was like a flavored cranberry one, but he doesn't like the sparkling waters.
Yeah.
These things too you have to give your palate time to adjust
to it.
Like if you've been having a lot of things that are, as you start to move away from processed foods, a lot of times people start to realize, like, if you haven't had these things and then you go back and you taste something that you used to really, really like, and then you taste it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's really heavy. Too sweet.
Yeah.
And sometimes giving your palate some time to adjust will get you to be able to make that transition a little bit easier.
Yeah, and the other thing I've noticed, the kind of the other side of that is when I'm eating cleaner, like a carrot, you can really taste the sweetness in a carrot. Mm-hmm. It's not quite as good as a Snickers bar, but you do get a little bit of that. Wow, this is a sweetness that I really didn't know. And I guess because we've drowned our palate in so much other sugary foods that you just can't discern that. But it's interesting what you can start to taste after you cut out some of these
junk.
Other foods. Yeah.
True. It's very, very true. Yeah. And it's what our bodies are used to too, is the thing.
Right.
That, before all the processed foods came into play and all the added sugars, we were more accustomed and able to taste the sweetness. But, processed foods are very concentrated sugar. And so over time, your body kind of gets tolerant to that and needs things that are sweeter and sweeter in order to be able to taste it.
Yeah. Yep, that's another good point to make, is that I guess we shouldn't expect to make a fairly decent sized change and it be effective in 2 or 3 days, just like with this taste. I mean, it may take a week or 10 days or 2 weeks to finally kind of clear your palate to where you can actually start tasting more of the good foods
flavors,
that we eat.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right, Valerie. Well, thank you so much for being with us. So, before we go, why don't you tell people who is your customer, what you can do for them, and then, of course, how can they reach out and get a hold of you?
Your website and Facebook.
So my customer is the person who wants to improve their health, which may include losing body fat, losing weight, sometimes maybe other things, but wants to have a customized approach where it is about sustainability, lifestyle changes, habit changes, whole foods. I'm definitely not the approach of having a lot of supplements and pills and potions and things of that nature. And everybody's plan is a little different, to be honest. I do speak with all of my clients beforehand because we have to see if I can help you. I can't help everybody. Sometimes I have to refer out. I have a very big referral base for those who may need services that I cannot provide.
Okay.
But we do a kind of stepwise approach, a lot of little changes that stick, a lot of small changes that become habits over time and become big changes over time and are sustainable.
Yeah,
and you can get me ValYouWellness.com, I should mention.
Okay.
And it's let's spell it.
ValYou Wellness.com.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. I hate to keep on going, but every time we have an exchange, I think of something else. But I think you bring up a good point that if you reach out to somebody to help you and they say, "Hey, I helped Joe, so I can use that plan and help you," that is a definite red flag. Everybody, not only their goals are going to be different, their bodies are different. Yeah. Everything is different, so you need to have a customized plan that is developed just for you as an individual.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, look at for example, in your case. I mean, if I have a client who suffers from diabetes, their concerns and their plan is going to be different than somebody who does not.
Right.
Whether it's diabetes or PCOS or hypothyroidism, like. Those things are actual conditions that change hormones and things like that. And that plan is not going to be the same for somebody else.
Right.
So it really does need to be a customized approach depending on what that person's situation is and what they're trying to achieve.
Yep. So if you reach out to a wellness professional and they're not asking you those questions, that should be a definite red flag that you may need to.
That should be a red flag.
Yeah. So you need to reach out to Valerie. Let her, because we know that she will ask you all the right questions. And with her, I think you have such a unique background with your, being the nurse practitioner with the certified trainer and the certified weight management that it's just a great combination. So y'all reach out to Valerie, see how she can help you out. And that's going to do it for.
Love to hear from y'all.
Yeah,
that's going to read the blogs.
Yes, read the blogs.
They're
yes,
great.
Read the blogs. Lots of information on the blogs.
Yes,
they'll keep coming. So feel free to read those as well.
Yeah, Terry calls me in after she reads. Oh my gosh, you got to come hear about this one. So
I read the whole thing. That's great.
All right, well that's going to do it for another episode of Feeding Fatty. Of course, you can find us on all the major platforms, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, Spotify. You can also find us at www.feedingfatty.com and all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course once this episode goes live, the YouTube video will be up as well. So until next time, I'm Roy.
I'm Terry. Thank you, Valerie. Appreciate it.